Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Down in the Country podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Reed, and today we are joined with another up and coming country music artist, Jodie Ross. Jodie, thank you so much again for your time today.
Thank you, Dylan.
No, it's to start off the conversation. So you describe yourself as a vibrant, free-spirited singer-songwriter whose musical style is as rich as the mud in the mighty Mississippi. So how has that helped shape your identity as a up and coming country music artist?
Well, I think a lot of the music, past, present, and future, is coming out of Mississippi. There's been a lot of people from Mississippi to shape the music industry, and I just think that that richness comes from those people. There's so many deep roots that run here, music wise, and I just think people are surprised sometimes when they hear folks out of Mississippi,
Hmm.
bringing the noise, as they say, to the music world. So
Awesome. And is there like a particular sound in Mississippi that you hear in country music artists, or is there a particular way of writing?
there's definitely more. I would say the blues sound for sure. There's a little bit of a rock edge too. That comes from Mississippi sound. I think a lot of people are surprised. Yes, it's country, but I feel like our Mississippi country has a little bit of edge to it.
Okay, so it's kind of like a mixture between that Kentucky bluegrass and kind of I would call like Southern rock.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And so, your latest single, "My Favorite Memory," kind of showcases your vibrant, free-spirited style.
Mhm.
So, how was the writing to cutting process for that particular single?
So this song has been one that I've sat on for a very long time. This song was actually the first song that, not the first song that I wrote, but the first song that I actually shared and put out into the world. I was attending an open mic at this little local coffee shop, and this was one of the first originals that I shared. Usually I would play covers, but then, I started, it was like, hey, I wrote this stuff, so let me share it. And anyway, it got heard by someone. To this day, I don't know who, but it got heard by someone and nominated for the Mississippi Music Awards, which I didn't even know at the time was a thing. Um, and so it got nominated for Best Original Song, and it ended up winning. This was back in 2019. So up until now, 2025, that song has not been recorded. And I was like, you know what? This song was the song that kind of like started all of this for me. So I feel like it needs to be out there. So that's kind of what has happened with it. I wrote it from the perspective of, you could take it a lot of different ways, but from the perspective of, thinking of those could have beens or those what ifs. I'm a very nostalgic person, and you'll hear that a lot in the songs that I write, and including this one. So anyway, but that's kind of the backstory behind it. Nothing in particular personal wise. It's just kind of a reflective type song. And anyway, but like I said, award winning song, and I was just excited to get it out there and share it with everyone.
Yeah, and so when was the song originally written?
2018, I guess. Yeah.
Oh wow. So the song was you were it was just you just sat on it for close to
Yeah.
10 years.
Just sat on it. Like, it's one of those things, like I will release a song. I feel like this is just kind of my cycle of releasing. Like, I kind of do one every year. This year is the first year of actually going to have multiple release all in one year, so I'm super excited about that. But it would always be one that was kind of fresh, that I had just like newly written. And like I said, I just kind of sat on this song and I was like, well, why not? So
Awesome. And what did you learn about yourself when you wrote this song all the way up to cutting it?
I mean, this has really just been a journey, and like I don't feel like there's still plenty to learn. But for one, whenever I put it out there and started sharing my music, it was definitely a validating thing. Like, hey, like, you do have what it takes to put music out there. Hey, people do like listening to what you write. So it was relatable. So that kind of was the catalyst to let's write more. Um, and then just building my confidence in doing songwriter rounds, doing songwriter festivals, um, getting my feet with putting singles out, and being, sharing my own stuff and not just being a songwriter, but doing the whole singer songwriter thing as well. So
Oh, wow. And so you're originally from Louisville, Mississippi. So how has your hometown helped shape you in your artistic career? Just starting from singing at your local church up until now.
yeah, so there's a lot of different ways people pronounce that. It's actually Louisville, and a lot of people get it confused with Kentucky and Louisville. So, and I
Yeah,
believe there's a Louisville, Texas, also. But
there is.
yeah, so people will get, you're from Texas. I'm like, no, I'm from Mississippi. But anyway, so Louisville is a very small town, very country small town. I think I could be wrong, but we probably have like 7 to 10,000 people in our little county or little town. And anyway, but I'm gonna name drop for a second. So actually, out of my small town, we have two country artists who are in Nashville. Carl Jackson. I said I'm kind of messed up. Carl Jackson and Lisa Stewart. Carl Jackson is a singer songwriter. He comes back and performs a Christmas country concert every year. And then Lisa Stewart was started out as country, and I believe she's doing jazz music now. But yeah, so there are definitely some Nashville roots here within my own little small town. And I think people here, because of those folks, they appreciate the music and original music. So that's nice to have that support. And I think people here like to see folks from their hometown succeed. So that's been encouraging.
Mhm. And how has been the reaction from your small town to your respective music?
Um, Definitely anytime I play any live shows, people come out and support, and I appreciate that so much. And then also, I've had people, be like, "Hey, you need to do The Voice, or you need to do American Idol," which I've traveled for The Voice before. Haven't ever done American Idol, but they're like, "You need to do American Idol. If you win, we're gonna plan your hometown show and your hometown welcome back, whatever." And so anyway, but I think they're just excited to see, what happens, and they're along for the ride as well.
Mhm. Now, does your where you're from in Mississippi, like is there a lot of artists that come and like play small shows, or do you have to go to like Jackson or kind of a bigger city?
You definitely have to go to some more populated places. Like, we're very centrally located in the state of Mississippi, so I'm about an hour and a half from Jackson, about probably 2.5 hours to 3 hours to like Memphis, and even like 3 hours to the coast. But we do. I'm not very far from Starkville, where Mississippi State's located. So there are a couple of artists that come to Starkville. Hardy, of course, is not very far from my small town. His Philadelphia, hometown of Philadelphia, is only about 30 minutes away from my hometown of Louisville. So definitely some close populace there. And then there's a big fair in Philadelphia, in the Shelby County Fair, which draws a lot of famous, either up and coming or maybe some artists who have had their heyday, um, and come back and do concerts and things like that. So you don't have to go far.
Oh,
There's
wow.
music right around. Yep.
Wow, so you're pretty like nicely located. So like in case you have like a gig or if you want to go see a show somewhere, you can just hop in your car and just drive.
Oh, for sure. Yep. And it's a quick like day trip. If you go to Memphis or the coast, you might want to like stay the night. It's drivable back, if you want to, but definitely don't have to go far.
Yeah, awesome. And so your creative influences are Stevie Nicks, Melissa Etheridge, and Dolly Parton, to name a few. And so, how have you been able to combine your respective creative influences into your music? Either everything from like a song structure to rhythm to writing to just kind of your own respective style.
Yeah. So I love Dolly's, just, her genuineness and her writing and her storytelling, and like, just going back to her always remembering, no matter how famous she gets, she always remembers where she comes from. And I love that, and how her humility also influences her writing. And I think that kind of plays into what I write. I think a lot and reflect a lot about my growing up and where I come from and appreciating that in what I write. But, and then too, like I love, I have a rock edge. While I claim country as like my love, like I also love some rock music, and I love that like 70s like classic rock era. So like Stevie Nicks, that edge, Melissa Etheridge also kind of has that grit, that southern rock about her also. And I like that to add that kind of flair to my writing as well, and just my sound as a whole. Um, I come across as just, the sweet country girl, and I like to surprise people with a little edge and a little flair every now and then.
Hmm. So um, do you also even like carry that in when you go into the studio and record?
Oh, for sure. And going back to talking about my favorite memory, that was one thing when I recorded. I was like, look, I've had some people listen to this song and be like, hey, I kind of hear a little rock vibe to this. So we made sure to have to pepper in a little rock flair to it just a little bit, to give it maybe another edge besides country. So yeah, I'm excited for people to hear it.
Mhm. And specifically with my favorite memory, without giving too much away, kind of could you provide us kind of a little bit of a hint on kind of what we should expect?
Well, it's definitely going to be nostalgic. Like I said, it's definitely going to have a little edge. It's a song that you will listen to and automatically think of somebody that you probably wish wouldn't have got away, but you're glad that you have that memory of that person.
Hmm. And January 31st, it's
Yes,
expected to
January
come out.
31st. Oh,
Wow. I was looking at my calendar today and I'm like, that's a little under 3 weeks away.
right. Yeah, for sure. And I was like, I've got two more songs that I'm going to be, like I said, releasing later this year, but I'm kind of like trickle them out. So as soon as this one releases, people can be expecting to hear about the next one. So,
Oh, wow. And, how, have the people who have heard it, like, are they excited? Are they like, yeah, this totally sounds like you?
oh yeah, for sure. And so the release date is actually my mom's birthday, and of course, like most moms, she's my biggest fan. And so I let her hear the song, and she was like, I love the way that this turned out because it captures like what you did with it originally, and just the acoustic version. She said it captures that, and even with all of the things that we added to it to give it that rock feel, she said it still is you, like it still sounds like you and your style. So yeah, I think people are going to be excited about it.
And people, there is a pre-saved link, correct?
Yes, there is, and Spotify, and I keep checking. There's not a pre-order yet on iTunes, but it should be. But if not, it'll be available whenever it releases. So
Awesome. And so, so you were a board certified nurse therapist at a residential facility for adults with intellectual disabilities and saw how music can be therapeutic. So how does it make you feel, and how have you seen your music unite people from all walks of life?
so being a board certified music therapist kind of spurred on this whole songwriting thing, because part of my training was to write songs and use lyric analysis, and um, even using creativity and like songwriting as part of interventions with our music therapy practices. And so I was like, you know what? Like this could be therapeutic for myself in songwriting. So, and the more I got better at doing it as from a therapeutic standpoint, then I was like, hey, I'm going to try this for myself. So that's just kind of another backstory as to how this all got started. But um, I love how music transcends all boundaries, all I don't know really how to put it. All walks of life can relate to relate to music, and it can unite in a way that nothing else can. And I just love that I've had so many people from all over come to appreciate my music and listen to it. And if anything, that's something maybe somebody agrees, they can all agree on, is my music is, whatever that means to them. Um, but anyway, I really have an appreciation for music therapy in general and what all of, if anybody's listening, music therapists are doing through their practices. And I just think music is a great way to reach all people, no matter if that's through music therapy or just listening. Like music is healing. What's the word I'm looking for? It has the ability to heal and to soothe. And I just love that I'm able to contribute my music to people's playlists or whatever, and maybe that means something to them.
So when people listen to your music, is there a specific kind of element that it's like a strumming pattern, or like there's a particular way you write that you're like, people are like, oh, this is definitely a Jodie Ross song? Like, have you gotten any feedback from listeners?
No, I haven't really got any feedback from listeners on that. Nobody's really recognized any set thing that like makes it like stick out per se. I just think a lot of times like there's little, I love to use catchphrases.
Hmm.
Uh if you've listened to any of my other music that's already out there, my very first single was called Bless Your Heart. And it takes a lot of like Southern phrases that we say down here and I wrapped them up into a song. My baseball song is called We Brought It All Home. I released it. It was my single last year. And it got nominated for a Josie Award in Nashville this past October. And but anyway, I used baseball metaphors for a song. So I love like using catchphrases or metaphors to spur on my songwriting. So
Oh
yeah.
wow. So it's, do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite metaphor that you use in the South?
Oh, bless your heart, like for sure is the metaphor like in the South.
Yeah, no, definitely being
And there
from.
definitely is multiple meanings for what
Yeah,
that for bless your heart.
yeah. Well, it's funny, like, when you say bless your heart, it's kind of like very similar, regardless if you're from Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi. Like, there's just some things like, I don't know. It's just, I can't teach someone. Like, you either know it or you don't, or
That's
you,
right.
if you don't, you have to experience it.
For
Like,
sure. Yeah. Well, you're like, oh yeah, that's what that means.
it's like an unspoken language.
For sure. Like Southernism is its own language.
No, definitely. And so what do you want people to know about Mississippi?
I think I kind of alluded to it a little bit already, but a lot of people think Nashville, of course, for music. But you'll find out that the music out of Nashville, it's not local Nashville. It is people from all over that come to Nashville and put their music out, which is wonderful. And even like the Texas scene, like Texas, I feel like the Texas music scene and the Mississippi music scene are very similar because that red dirt country that's coming out of Texas is unique. It is like West Texas artists, people from Austin putting out this music, and then like from Mississippi, you have us people like we are homegrown. What you hear is coming from right here at home, and I just think it will surprise people the amount of talent that comes from here. Um, I think people, especially Mississippi, I mean, people think Mississippi and automatically think the negative. Mississippi's lost a lot of things. There's a lot of bad rep that comes from Mississippi's history. But it's 2025, and I feel like Mississippi's on the up and up. And um, there's a lot of unexpected gems here in
Mhm.
Mississippi.
So I got to ask you, Oxford or Starkville?
Starkville. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry for all you hottie toddies listening, but it is Bulldogs all the way.
Wow. Yeah, I've never. It's funny because I never knew that that was like a very intense rivalry.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And how far is Oxford from Starkville?
It is not. It's not far at all. It probably maybe a 2 hour drive, maybe
Oh, so you can
like a
literally.
100 miles. Like I think it is. I'm not 100%, but
Oh wow. So you could literally go for a game for the day and then just drive
oh,
back.
oh yeah.
Wow. No,
Mm-hmm.
that it's kind of it's so being from Texas, we have UT, we have A&M, and we have, I mean, the running joke is, oh, it's Texas Tech, Lubbock, like middle of nowhere. Like,
Right. Like who's that? Yeah.
yeah, who's that? But yeah, it's just amazing to just even in the South in particular. I mean, you have the NFL, like football reigns king, but I swear, like those college teams and even some of ththose high school teams are
Hmm.
on the same level of like intensity as even the professional teams.
So while we're talking about local high school, my local high school, Louisville High School, is the ranked second in the state for most state championships run in their football program. So our football here in Louisville is like top notch. So yeah.
Wow. So do you guys get a lot of recruits from like Georgia and Alabama, LSU, checking people, you know?
Oh yeah, they go all over. Of course, since we're right here by Starkville and Ole Miss, a lot of them stay home and go to those schools. But yeah.
Wow. It's football is like, I don't know, it's like a religion down south.
It is. It is. That is what you do on Friday nights, and Saturdays during football season.
And also Sunday.
Oh yes, and then on Sunday. But we don't have an NFL team here, so you either go Saints, Cowboys, Titans, pretty much.
Yeah.
Maybe an occasional Falcons fan, but yeah.
Yeah. All teams have done terrible
Chiefs, yeah.
Yeah. All teams have done terrible this season.
They have. They really have. Yeah.
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 I mean, I'm a big Cowboys fan. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is I just stopped watching because I was like, I just can't stand to look at it anymore.
I know. Yeah.
And so what does country music mean to you? And how do you want to contribute to the genre based off of kind of your style as kind of being from Louisville, Mississippi?
I mean, country has just been a big part of my life from day one. That's what mom and dad listened to. Other things as well, but mostly country. I mean, I remember riding in the truck with my dad and hearing Garth Brooks' Thunder Rolls, and like I loved that song. I loved Dolly from day one. Rockin' Years that she sings was one of my songs I'd run around sing as a kid. So I don't know. It's just always been a part of who I am. I've always listened to country music. Um, I don't know, since being young, like I would always have the little plastic guitars and run around playing on those and sing. And I always thought I wanted to grow up to be a singer and do that. I never really thought that I would songwrite. I always just knew that I wanted to perform. And um, I just think country music is just as a genre, it's wholesome. It's present day. I mean, like the storytelling and just being appreciative of your roots, and not shying away from who you truly are has definitely been, um, I think, true to the genre like throughout time. And I feel like my songs represent that as well, and I feel like they could be welcomed within the country music scene. So
Awesome. So I got to ask, so when you're younger, was the truck, was it just kind of a bench seat?
oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure. The bench seat. I don't know. There may have been the thing that let down in the middle. I feel like it was because I remember like always like wanting to sit in the middle on the hump. Like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is funny. You really don't see those bench seat style trucks anymore.
No, you don't.
And my assumption is probably it has to do with safety.
Probably so, because I very clearly remember like riding the back seat with my grandmother and like not buckling up, just kind of. It was a free for all in the car. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, uh, I think I vaguely remember. I think the first truck that I remember riding in as a kid. Well, I mean, it was my aunt's, but my grandfather originally bought it, but it was like the 1997 GMC. I think it was a Sierra.
Yeah.
So it kind of had it. I vaguely remember it kind of had that bench seat, and then you kind of had, was it like one seat in the back?
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, it
that,
was like an extended cab, and they didn't have like a whole seat. It was like a little bucket seat, like if even that, sit in
yeah,
the back corner. Yeah.
which you don't really even see those types of trucks anymore.
Mm-mm. No.
It's all this, and that's the thing, like, not to go off on a tangent on cars, but it's like,
Yeah.
all these gadgets with like even though I love technology, I don't know, I just feel like I would have less control of the car, in comparison, to not having all those gazmos and gadgets in.
Right, for sure.
It's like I feel like I'm in a computer in like an alternative universe or something.
Yes, I know. I was like, I don't know. What are like these kids these days? I feel like I'm so old saying that. Like days don't know how to manually roll down a window. Like, come on now.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so, and I'm just curious, like when you were growing up listening to country music, was there like a song or an artist that you were like, this is the genre for me. This is what I want to do.
I don't remember it being necessarily country music, but I remember, like I said, I loved country music. I loved music from day one. Um, I feel like I was born and then I just came out singing. But anyway, like when I was 16, I think I was 15, 16, something like that. I wanted a guitar for my birthday. And so I got a guitar, started taking lessons. And around that time, I think I was, like I said, so like 10th grade maybe, there was an artist named Michelle Branch, and she was like pop rock. And, but she played guitar and she sang her songs. And then that's kind of when I was like, oh, so like I've always seen like really guys, I mean, other than Dolly, guys sing and play, you know?
Hmm.
I was like, there is a girl that sings and plays guitar. Like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. So she was kind of the artist that made me be like, hey, let me try this. So yeah, I kind of can like give her the rep for
Hmm.
spurring on the whole songwriter thing.
Yeah, I mean, she sang, um, she sang everything. So it's like that song, "You Mean Everything to Me."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I think what was that? I think that was 1998, 1999,
yeah,
something.
yeah. I'm dating myself for sure. No.
Yeah, I'm also dating myself too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, for me, it was, I'll never forget. And I've said this on other podcasts before, but it's the song that I remember. And I mean, I grew up listening to like George Strait, Mickey
Uh-huh.
Gelly, Leanne Womack, but it was the song "I Hope You Dance" by Leanne
Yeah.
Womack
Yeah.
from, I think that was
It was like
2000 to,
2001, wasn't it?
yeah, that
Uh,
song is like nearly 25 years old. So I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I just remember like, that was like, oh, this is the genre
mm,
that I
yeah.
love. It's because it seems like what I've learned from others and kind of just in my experience is like there's that one song or that one artist, that really kind of catapults you to a certain genre in music.
Yeah. And it's really hard too for me to like put myself in just like the country genre, because I truly love all music. If you ride in the car with me, you're going to hear everything from country to rock to rap to Christian. Like, you're going to hear it all. Like, it's going to be on the radio.
Hmm.
So I'm definitely bipolar when it comes to my music tastes. Like, that all into the spectrum.
Hmm. And the last question I have is any upcoming shows, albums, writers rounds, EPs that you want people to know about?
Um, well, I don't really have any up and coming writers rounds or anything like that on the books yet. If you follow me at my on my socials, it's Jodie Ross Music on all platforms, and even on my website, www.jodierossmusic.com. And I have a link there with all of my live shows. The calendar for 2025 is pretty booked, so it's just easiest to go there and just see where I'm going to be. But of course, the singles that are up and coming this year, I don't have release dates for the other two, but My Favorite Memory on January 31st is the most important thing right now in my songwriting journey. So, yeah.
Awesome. And be sure to subscribe to Down in the Country podcast YouTube channel and also listen to the audio version of this interview on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Jody, thank you so much again for your time today.
Yes, thank you, Dylan, for having me.
Certainly. And this is Dylan Reed signing off.